Good morning, traders. It's Monday, July 15th. Taking a look at the charts, we got the SP 500 30-minute chart here on the left. Green bars mean we are in an uptrend. On the right-hand side, we got the daily chart. And if you take a look at the price action, we're a little overbought in the markets. Markets are set to gap higher. We are above this red hashtag, which based on current price action, puts us into an overbought territory. We've seen it happen a couple times. We opened and gapped higher into overbought territory over here where the market sold off last week. It did it again. These are very small moves, faded back down, and today we're set to gap up again into overbought territory. We could see it fade back down, but keep in mind we are into this type of market action right here, and this is kind of where we're at. We're going to eventually get a pretty sharp pullback, a crack to the downside. Things are setting up for a pretty significant intermediate type pullback in the market, similar to what we saw in May. The question is, do we have one pullback or do we have a pullback and then a washout low in the market? So that'll be the big question. Until then, really got to be long the markets. As a long-term investor, you have to be long the markets, but as a short-term trader, it's starting to get a little long in the teeth. Really tough to add up here. Friday, I pointed out the Russell 2000 was the only one that had been consolidating and actually pulled back. Thursday, Friday pulled back for short-term oversold territory. Ended up having a really strong session for the day. And you can see here on the daily chart on the right, it's got a nice bull flag forming. So we might see small caps outperform a bit here. Got a nice rally, nice consolidation. It hasn't broken out yet. Today it is trading higher in pre-market. So we might start to see it break out and push up, test this recent high over here around the 158, maybe go a bit higher. It does have a Fibonacci measured move. Let's just see where that is. It's probably up around the 1.6 mark. Here is the rally and the pullback. And so the upside potential target is pointing to 158.60, and then the next 100% measured move would poke to a nominal new high, 161.29. Now, typically, if something is just above a previous pivot high, I usually move my target down lower because usually you'll pull back from resistance. So anyway, it looks like we could have a continuation move where we've had the rally, we've got the pullback, we could have the second half of that rally somewhere up into this area over the next couple sessions. Now, if we take a look over at some of the other markets, IYT, both IYT and the Russell 2000, I mentioned a couple times last week that they've been pulling back. They've been underperforming the market substantially, but they were really still set up in a short-term bullish price action. You can see here on the left-hand chart, it dipped down into an oversold territory and it had a very strong rally the last two trading sessions. Today looks like it's set to open relatively flat, but again, it's got some traction. Probably going to rally with the small caps. They could lead the market here for a little bit, for a session or three. But overall, they got oversold. They've had that relief pop. The big question is, where are they going to top out and roll over? We're going to be looking for some new trades this week. Precious metals, let's go over to them real quick because they're primed and ready for a breakout. The big question is, which way are they going to break out? We've been trading at this resistance line. We drew this blue line in the sand months and months ago. You can see how accurate the market is in terms of it being resistance. It just can't close above it. Every time it tags it, it pulls back, and we're riding up between the 20-day and this resistance area. It's getting squished here. The big question is it going to break to the downside or is it going to pop and rally and take off to the upside? So that's where we're at. Overall, we got some elevated volume. We've got more or less the volume spikes seem to be selling. So there's still distribution going on, which is why it's at resistance. If people keep selling as it pushes up. So we're going to keep our eye on this for potential breakout and run or a potential breakdown and flush out for a new entry point to get long it for a more significant rally. Now, if we take a look at silver, silver's up this morning. Again, metals were up quite a bit this morning. They've pulled back after 8:30, and they're still stuck under short-term resistance. Again, this is a big inside bar, huge red down day. All these bars in here are inside this bar. That's still seen somewhat as a bearish formation. Overall, we do have silver. If we look at these highs, if we go from closing prices on these bars today, we could be actually starting to break out of this. But overall, again, um, it's still an inside bar. It's tested this spot. It's sold off. We could very easily see it come back down, test these key moving averages. So they're not quite breaking out yet. They're close. If they start to break out, we'll probably jump on the bandwagon and play the breakout rally. If this is the beginning of a major bull market, these breakouts should have a lot of power behind them, so you can jump on and get long and chase them higher. Looking over at gold miners, GDX, again, had a nice momentum pop last week, trading right up at resistance, trading relatively flat this morning. It is at resistance, so we're seeing some selling holding price down, but it looks very close to a big pop in price. And overall, take a look at the price action here. The next resistance level will be somewhere up around this 26.90 area if it starts to pop and extend. Obviously, it's had a very strong parabolic move, more or less to the upside at this point, and we could see it continue to consolidate. Overall, it's in an uptrend. Long term, you should be long metals and miners and rotating out of the overall equities market because all the signs are there that miners are outperforming the leading sectors. Small caps, transports are underperforming. So that usually means stock market in general is getting close to a bear market, and you want to be in these long term. As a short term trader, we're waiting for a potential breakout and trade or a pullback to get long again on an oversold condition. Looking over at natural gas, had down 0.5% this morning. Again, it came down, put in a bottom, and is rallying up. It's kind of stuck at the 50-day moving average. Our upside target here is around 255 if it can extend and move higher from here. Overall, it's popped and made most of the move. Now it's struggling with resistance, which is this previous pivot low, and right where the market started to show a little sign of support down at this area. And as it breaks that level, now it's coming back up in its resistance. So overall, expecting natural gas to chop around, maybe fade a bit higher, but overall we're looking for some type of pullback eventually to get long for a longer move to the upside. Looking at crude, up 1% this morning. It's put in this double bottom, rallied up, pulled back, and now it's pushing up into our target is we have a target around 62 all the way up to about 64, which is also this previous pivot high and consolidation and pivot low over here. It's gone from a short-term oversold territory on the left chart. You can see it's rallied up, formed a little bull flag. Today it's set to move up around this 61 at the open and potentially start to move higher after that. Last but not least, let's pull up the US dollar index. It's been pulling back here. It's trading slightly positive today. Overall, you can see here, it's gone from a red trend here to orange neutral to now it's pulling back. And Friday at the close, it just started to give off short-term oversold signals, meaning we could start to see it bounce. It is having a little bounce today. Overall, it's got some pretty good traction and some momentum here. We'll see if it can break to the upside, but more or less it's rallied, bull flag, rally, bull flag, big rally, and now it's got first kind of significant pullback, and it's coming into the 20-day moving average. If we can get some traction here, we could start to see a much bigger momentum the second half of this move to the upside, which would put the lid on precious metals, and we see a breakdown and a larger consolidation in metals before they start to run higher. So we'll see how the dollar performs. It's really going to drive the metals market this week if it can find traction here and start to move higher. Anyways, that's it for now. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.